This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
What's up, guys? This is VinylicPuma, and today I'm back with another Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel video for you guys. Today we'll be going over both Bandit and Scav weapons, as both manufacturers are pretty much, they're the same thing. Bandit weapons are typically characterized by their superior magazine size when compared to weapons from other manufacturers. Otherwise, Bandit weapons are sort of a mixed bag. However, from my experience, Bandit weapons also seem to be really good at applying status effects to enemies. Weapons like the Slagga are good for slagging enemies in Borderlands 2, and Merrick's Mouth, despite not being on this countdown, is good at applying random status effects via its unique Lunashine effect. However, without further ado, these will be the top 9 best Bandit and Scav guns and weapons in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, starting now. Number 9, the Fast Talker. So let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. The only problem with the Fast Talker is that it's locked behind the Tales from the Borderlands Season Pass. This is a shame, as some of the other weapons like the Boss Nova, Not Shield, Company Man, and others are interesting items that can only be acquired once legitimately by buying Tales from the Borderlands Season Pass. And what's really cool about the Fast Talker is that despite its low damage per shot, it has very high fire rate, and being a bandit weapon, it also has relatively high magazine size as well. Otherwise, though, there's not really much else to the Fast Talker other than that. Though it is worth it mentioning that it can come in all elements. Although I will say the average fire rate for the Fast Talker is about 15 or so, meaning if you've got a high enough fire rate percentage bonus, it's possible to fire rate cap this weapon on the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Borderlands the pre-sequel. On PS4, Xbox One, and PC, you can get your fire rate over 30 pretty easily. To get one of these, you'll need a save editor. Otherwise, I suppose you could redeem your code that you get with Tales from the Borderlands. The Fast Talker is really a gun that needs to drop in-game. Number 8, the Tinderbox. So this is a fire elemental only pistol by Bandit that's very good early on in the main quest, and it's also pretty decent once you get to Tundra Express. So we're talking from about level 6 to 8 or so, and then again from about like level 11 to 16 or so. Like some of the other weapons from both Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, this pistol fires these orb-like projectiles in an arc, and it's sort of similar to like the Globber from Borderlands the pre-sequel. This weapon also benefits from grenade damage bonuses, so you could get a lot of use out of it on both Axton as well as Krieg. Krieg in particular might be a good choice, as he also has skills that boost the fire damage of weapons, and he goes really well with fire weapons in general. While I would say you can find some better weapons from Bandit and other manufacturers later on in the game than the Tinderbox is an excellent fire weapon really early on in the game. Number 7, the Bone Shredder / Meat Grinder. Okay, so both of these are essentially the same gun. The Bone Shredder is exclusive to Borderlands 2, and the Meat Grinder is exclusive to Borderlands the pre-sequel, although they look the same and they pretty much are the same. Both are based off of the Bone Shredder SMG that you can acquire in Borderlands 1, which was a really nice SMG for the early parts of Borderlands 1. Originally, the Bone Shredder was a 2-projectile weapon, like the original one from Borderlands 1. However, during the $100,000 loot hunt event for Borderlands 2, Gearbox buffed the projectile multiplier, so we now have a ×3 version as opposed to the ×2 original. In my opinion, this is a really great weapon to have, especially if you can get the Slag version, as it's essentially a poor man's Slagga SMG. Number 6, the Sawbar. While it's somewhat difficult to use effectively, the Sawbar is a good weapon. Now, the drawbacks of the Sawbar are that it requires proper distancing in order to get the explosion to hit your intended targets. While other weapons like the Lyuda benefit from the proper distancing in a similar way, it's not really required to deal significant amounts of damage. So with the Lyuda, you could get just one of the projectiles to hit and things die, where with the Sawbar, it's a little bit more involved, and you do have to get those explosions to hit at just the right spot in order to kill things. And I suppose the other drawback is that it only comes in fire element, which is sort of a shame, as the shock and corrosive versions would have been interesting to use. That all said, if you can get the explosions to hit on target, or if you can get your distancing so that all 3 unlisted projectiles hit at the same time, you can deal a ton of damage to enemies, especially raid bosses like Terramorphous that have huge critical hit spots. Number 5, the Slagga. While you can certainly kill enemies with the Slagga SMG, its true purpose is to slag enemies, which it does unbelievably well, I might add. The Slagga is like the Hyperion Logan's gun in the sense that you can continue to use it regardless of the weapon's level. And what makes the Slagga work so well is that you can fire 3 projectiles per shot, and you have a very high slag chance. So you can usually get about 3 to 4 shots off, and whatever is in front of you is going to be slagged. This is extremely useful in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, as slag allows you to deal 3 times the damage to enemies that you would normally do. In my personal opinion, the Slagga personifies the core of what Bandit and Scav weapons should be about, and that is a very high magazine size, as well as the ability to apply status effects that are detrimental to the enemies that you're fighting. Ultimately, I think you're going to need one of these, as the Slagga is a great weapon. Number 4, the Party Popper. So the Party Popper is both one of the silliest and deadliest weapons that you can find in Borderlands the pre-sequel. It's silly in the sense that it's essentially a pop gun, however it's actually quite a powerful shotgun-type pistol, provided you can get close enough to enemies. What's also kind of crazy is that the Party Popper consumes 1 ammo per shot, and since the average Bandit pistol has about 40 to 60 shots per magazine, you can fire 40 or so highly lethal shots at enemies before you will even need to reload. Now, the big downside is that the Party Popper has extremely limited range. If the bullets fire far enough, they will simply disappear, meaning that you won't be dealing any damage if you're far enough away. That said, if you're in low gravity environments and you blood slam with a Cryo Oz kit, you can basically get really close to some frozen enemies. You can aim at their crit spot, and this is pretty much an instant kill. Number 3, the Jolly Roger. The Jolly Roger is sort of a forgotten weapon for a lot of people. I suspect this is because it's overlooked by the excellent Sandhawk SMG that can also be acquired in the Captain Scarlet DLC. Despite this fact, the Jolly Roger is an excellent shotgun. In fact, it might be one of the best shotguns in Borderlands 2. The Jolly Roger has a very high projectile count, along with a consistent projectile pattern that is supposed to be emulating a skull and crossbones. If anything, I think this projectile pattern really helps the weapon, as Bandit weapons in general have accuracy problems, and thanks to the consistent projectile pattern, it makes it a good hipfire weapon, as well as decent while aiming down the sights as well. I really like to use this gun on Salvador the Gunzerker. It's a pretty fun weapon to combine with his money shot skill in order to deal a ridiculous amount of damage to enemies. Number 2, the Tattler. So the Tattler is the sister seraph weapon to the legendary Slagga SMG from Borderlands 2. Unlike the Slagga, which has been primarily designed to slag enemies, the Tattler has been designed to deal damage directly to enemies and is more of an offensive weapon. Like the Slagga, it fires 3 projectiles per shot, and in terms of damage output, it's possibly one of the best SMGs available to the player in Borderlands 2. That said, the Tattler does have some drawbacks. The first and most obvious one is the projectile speed, which makes fighting at longer range extremely difficult. Now, the second problem is that it can only have or spawn with the bladed grip accessory. This means you can't use other accessories to increase the projectile speed, damage, magazine size, or anything else. Even still, it's quite powerful as is, though it would be nice to see something other than bladed Tattlers all the time. Number 1, the BadaBoom. So now we have everyone's favorite rocket launcher by Bandit or Scav. Now, the BadaBoom is not just great for dealing lots of damage to enemies with a relatively low rocket cost, but also for performing rocket jumps in Borderlands 2. Now, unfortunately, the rocket jump function got patched out for Borderlands the pre-sequel. As a weapon, the BadaBoom has relatively high projectile count and low ammo consumption per shot. Unlike some Maliwan and Torg rocket launchers, which may sport higher damage numbers, you're getting much better ammo efficiency with the BadaBoom. especially when you consider that some Torgue and Mal 1 launchers are consuming up to 3 ammo per shot and not dealing that much more damage than the BadaBoom. The BadaBoom is really probably one of the best rocket launchers from both games. It's versatile and fun to rocket jump with in Borderlands 2. Anyway guys, that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care and I'll see y'all next time.